Hello and welcome to Quays TV News. I'm Sophie Dulson. Recent government figures have revealed that the number of homeless people in England has skyrocketed by 14% in the last year. Manchester City Council have published that to clarify someone as being homeless, they have to be lying horizontal on a highway. If you were to take shelter in a bus stop, you wouldn't be counted as someone who slept rough in the city. Mustard Tree is a Manchester-based charity committed to providing support for the homeless, marginalised and vulnerable across Greater Manchester.
We started as a small charity doing soup runs on the streets, that's taking out sandwiches and hot drinks, and it has grown as a tree is expected to grow. Roughly, we have on our systems over 10,000 clients that are registered. So these are people that fall in the category of either homeless or low-incomed.
The government claim 15 people are sleeping rough on the streets of Manchester. Manchester has been named the worst region in the North West as figures have doubled over the last year. The strict measures taken to classify someone as a rough sleeper has led to criticism.
On the soup run here on a Friday night, we get at least 80, 90 people here, homeless people. So it's a lot more than what the council are saying. I think the council should sort something out and get something done about it.
Since I've been here, it's like a big family, and it's very important to me because, I mean, you know, there's a lot of people here that are very caring, and it helps me stay out of prison because it's non-judgmental.
The charity serves these communities through the provision of food, clothing, furniture and training.
I was homeless myself at one point, and the Mustard Tree helped me in a big way, so just giving something back and just go out in the vans and work in the warehouse.
Mustard Tree has significantly changed the lives of many people. This national scandal needs to be tackled with bold, urgent action to address the long-term causes of homelessness. A non-profit organisation in Salford has created 35 jobs for local people, with most of them being single parents. Rachel Hesselhurst reports.
Tiny Tots Vision is run by Gwen Rolfe, who set up the self-sustained organisation as a single parent with 5 children. Gwen began as a school social entrepreneur who, with the help of a bursary, managed to turn a small nursery into a company worth over £1 million. Tiny Tots is home to 2 full daycare nurseries and playgroups in the Salford area. I'm here at the one in Lower Broughton, where I've been speaking to some of the parents about job opportunities and childcare available.
2000 I first started bringing my daughter to playgroup. She's now 15, and then I started coming to mothers and toddlers because I had a younger child as well, and got heavily involved with mothers and toddlers. And then when both my children had gone through playgroup and started into full-time nursery, I started as a parent volunteer.
Tiny Tots trains more than 50 staff for level 3 and degree placements and is able to pay for driving lessons as everything the organisation makes goes back into the community.
In terms of myself, I've brought both of my younger children here with me, which enables me to come to work. I found it very beneficial just because I've got my child with me. I don't have to leave them in other people's care, and plus they're getting a different learning experience too.
Gwen hopes to start up American-style holiday camps and to create what she describes as a healthy, wacky warehouse for children. Rachel Hesselhurst, Quays TV News, Lower Broughton.
Students are protesting in Manchester about rises in tuition fees. From September, students at Salford will be paying between £8,000 and £9,000 a year to study here. Joining us in the studio here now is the Vice-Chancellor Martin Hall. Hello, Martin.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, now, are people listening to the students when they are protesting every month?
I think people are listening to students a lot. There are a lot of concerns and issues that are not resolved yet. We have very unstable national policy on these issues, so there are issues to be concerned about, and I think people are listening.
Yeah, now Media City has been open for about 6 months now. How have you found the transition?
The transition's gone well. It's always difficult to take a new facility like this in, which has very complicated technology. You're obviously always concerned about the startup. It was quite an ambitious plan on our part to go live at in October and to teach students in there using new technology, but we phased it in, and I've been very happy with that. We had a number of teething problems. We had some problems with the Mac Studios, for example, which were license-related issues, and some frustrations around some aspects of that delivery. But by and large, the migration in here went well. and we've listened to students and their concerns. That's all. Most of those concerns are being ironed out. We're not up to full speed yet. We haven't got in here all the students who will eventually be taught here. That's quite deliberate because we want to try things out. Going around the building, I think that our students are making the very best use of it. I'm delighted to see people eating and drinking everywhere, for example. That was the plan. People are treating the building with great respect. A lot of students really appreciate the quality of the technology, the sort of environment we're sitting in right now. And those sorts of things are also showing up in our application packages for future years. So all of those things are coming together quite well. We've still got a lot of potential here that we still haven't realised. We've got to develop our relationship with the BBC. We've got the ITV moving in later this year. That's a great opportunity for students. ITV wants lots of permeable boundaries with people moving backwards and forwards. So yes, I'm happy with the way it's going.
You mentioned just then about the interaction with the BBC and the ITV. I think a lot of students who were coming here thought that there would be a lot more interaction with them. Is this going to be a platform made where we will be able to speak to the BBC and ITV a lot more?
There's a lot happening already, actually, and probably more than a lot of people realise. I mean, working with the BBC is like working with an octopus. You don't work with the BBC, you work with particular people in a very complicated organisation. And they're coming over more and more, and students get direct exposure. So, for example, we had a student team on site just earlier this week when Jeremy Hunt, the Culture Secretary, was on site. They were right there with their cameras. They got an interview. They actually got a national scoop because the Minister was prepared to announce something in front of them. Now, that wouldn't be possible without that relationship and partnership with the BBC because he was here on the way to the BBC. That's happening more and more.
Just in terms of getting placements and stuff like that, are the BBC going to be more open to letting students coming in? Because as a journalism student myself, I mean, I would expect there to be more opportunities available.
We're working hard on that. Now, the BBC's making all the right noises and those opportunities are opening up. But the BBC's a complicated organisation, and so we need to be constantly vigilant about making those opportunities happen. And you're right to push on that, because the more placements we get, the more opportunities. And I'd encourage any student to push hard on placement opportunities, because that's a great career maker.
Anyway, we've got some Twitter feeds now coming in.
That's exciting.
Obviously, people have been keeping in touch with your blog, and we've been asking our Twitter followers what they wanted to ask you. And Jason Gallagher has now got in touch and wants to know how you justify your wage packet with fees going up and many students unable to go to university.
Well, first of all, I don't pay myself. I'm paid by the university like everybody else, and I have performance objectives that I have to meet, and they're pretty tough on that. But like everything else, there's a rate for the job. So there's a rate for the job for doctors, there's a rate for the job for nurses, and there's a rate for the job for the Vice-Chancellors. I'm responsible for an organisation of about 3,500 staff, 25,000 people, almost £200 million a year turnover, and you know, I'm paid as a Vice-Chancellor. My pay package is down in the lower third of Vice-Chancellors in this country. You might well think it's excessive in comparison with other jobs, and that's an issue for people to debate. But in the rate from the job, it's the right package.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Martin. I'm sure that we could continue this discussion for
a
long, long time, but thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
All week, students at Salford have been voting for the next student president. They'll be responsible for student welfare and promoting the Students' Union. Voting ends this week, but we caught up with the candidates to help you make your mind up.
I think I should be voted for the President of the Students' Union because I have experience from this year as a current Vice President. I've been a student at Salford for nearly 5 years and I worked on the bar for 4 years, which means I've had loads of interaction with students. I literally just go out, speak to people, find out what the issues are and then try my best to fight for them and make sure that things get resolved. One of the most important ones I think is secure bike sheds. Because we get security reports every morning and there's been 1 to 2 bikes going missing around campuses for the past 2-3 months. The university actually agreed to put up some secure bike sheds and we've not seen any yet, so that's something that I really want to campaign on as a cyclist myself. And we're also trying to encourage people not to drive to uni as much so that we can get some green impact awards and things like that as well.
I represent sort of, I think the left wing of the organisation. I'm also, you know, I'm also a carer for someone and a mature student, so I think I represent, you know, the sort of the more hard to reach sort of sector of the university students. But I also appeal to the mainstream as well. I've done You know, I've organised talent shows, charity events. You know, when I go for it, I go for it. And I think as well, you know, Christina, she's a good candidate, but she's been in for a year already, and I think I just represent something a bit fresher and new.
Now we have the weekly weather update with James Bell.
After a bright week here at Media City, looks like this heavy cloud over across Salford's going to give us a much grimmer week. With light showers during the day as well, it's not going to look that good. Temperatures, however, should remain fairly stable in the mid-teens between 13 and 14 degrees, and should only drop down to about 6 degrees in the evening. Still to watch out for those cold breezes which are going to come during the day, and next week we're hopefully going to see a bit more sunshine. Back to you in the studio.
And finally, a charity event in aid of Genesis breast cancer prevention and the Beechwood Cancer Care Centre was held on Sunday at the Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester. Cabaret for Cancer was organised by actress Morag Siller, who was diagnosed with breast cancer last year. The sell-out event featured music, dance, magic acts and was hosted by Coronation Street favourites. Thanks for joining us today. You can keep up to date with us on Twitter @KeysNews or by heading to our website keysnews.net. From all of us here, thank you and goodbye.